Hello Wildcats! I'm Mary Claire Anderson and I'm currently standing on top of the parking deck overlooking the newest addition to the Westminster campus, Barge Commons. The crew and I took a tour with President Evans and he explained to us what purpose Barge Commons will serve in the overall Westminster Grand Plan.
About 5 years or so, we finished a master plan for the whole campus. And in that master plan kind of went back and deep into the history of all the buildings and the history of the land and so forth. And one of the reasons why you want to do a master plan is that once you build something, you don't want to go back and say, well, that's in the wrong place, or the front door isn't in the right place, or something like that. And so we really thought out, 40, 50 years as to kind of how to use this campus and this piece of property. A couple of things when you get used to being at Westminster that you just don't really notice anymore, but when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. The campus is built around this quad, which is not a random size. It's actually the same size of public spaces that goes all the way to ancient Greece. So the dimensions of this quad are the same dimensions you would have found in a town or a city in ancient Greece. And if you were to take the lawn at UVA and overlay it, it's the exact same size as this quad. And so this space was understood when the campus was first developed to be kind of the central outdoor kind of gathering space, crossing space, walking space, that kind of thing. And then, of course, all the buildings have been organized around it. And then the other thing that's kind of interesting to think about in the campus and might surprise you just a little bit is the campus is designed in such a way that if you stood on the front steps of Presley and walked a straight line, you'd walk straight through the middle of this building, straight through the middle school, straight through Love Hall, and straight to Toll Hall. And that's one axis. And then from there down to Turner is the other axis. And so all of the indoor space is organized around a cross that way. One of the other things that's interesting about the way this campus is built is that the buildings are all on the ridges. There are 7 ridges on this piece of property. And if you look at Askew, Presley, Campbell, that's like one ridge. And there are a total of 7 of them on campus, and on each ridge, there are buildings. The campus is about 185 acres, but the built part of it's only about 65, and all the rest of it is in fields and open spaces. And so that's by design, just to keep it compact. This is the front door here. So imagine right outside this door, ultimately this will be a plaza out here, and then the road will come down and drop you off right at the plaza, or swing around there to the parking garage and allow you into the parking garage. So in many ways, the building provides a front door to the campus that we have never had. If you can remember, what used to be here was you would sort of drive up and there was Adams Gate, which provided an entrance to the quad, but there was no one to welcome you, to give you directions where, if you're looking for this building or that one, you're sort of left on your own. So this building offers an opportunity to greet people and really provide a more hospitable entry to the campus. On any given day, though, this is also the place that if you wanted to, you might get dropped off here or start here if you're parked in the parking deck. And then right here would be sort of the school receptionist. Stop over here, I'm looking for Mrs. Trask, in Campbell, or I'm looking for this or that, and this person can direct you. And then behind these walls here is where the admission office is. And so this would all be, again, sort of the front door of the school and out on the perimeter where you're greeting various people that are coming to apply to the school. One of the things that's in here, and we'll see in a second, are a number of classrooms. So there'll be students that are scheduled, for classes in here. I would imagine that, this would be a pretty active spot here where you'd hang out and study, or might come in off the parking deck and grab a soft chair right here. This is going to be a big video wall right here where the sheetrock is. So it'll have messages or images every day that'll change. I think that'll be kind of a fun feature of it. But keep in mind, when you're here, you're coming in one level down from the quad. So it doesn't really feel that way, the way we walked, but that next floor up is level with the quad. So you traverse the grade by using these steps. It's kind of a great hall. If you imagine that these windows are all opened up and you're looking in a great view, you're right at quad level here. So this would be furnished with couches and chairs and a lot of the same kinds of things that you see in Hawkins right now, except there's a little more space here. And then all around us, contiguous to this, are conference rooms and classrooms that you could then hop into and work on a project or the kind of things that you see down in Hawkins. You might have a student conference here around a particular topic and invite students from across Atlanta. You could do the main session here and then break out into the conference rooms around the perimeter. So it sort of functions in that way as well. But I think this will be a pretty appealing spot, I think, for students.
After our tour examining the building, I had the chance to interview President Evans one-on-one and ask him some of the questions that students may have about Barge Commons, including who it's for and what purpose it serves. Mr. Evans, the place looks amazing, and I think I can speak for all of the students when I say that we are all so excited to finally have this project done. I know it was you went through a lot of iterations and went through a lot of hard work designing this place. And can you speak to kind of the design process and all of the different iterations y'all went through to design such a big and important space?
Yeah, exactly. So it all starts with the campus plan, where we looked at the entire campus and different functions and things that we needed and where we wanted to have them. We go from there to then thinking about what the order of construction would be. And it's not always the case that when you get to that point that you necessarily just build the thing you need the most first, because sometimes it's either less expensive, it's more efficient to build things in a different order. In the case of this building, it provides much needed gathering space, classroom space, some office space, that'll be populated by the entire community and day-to-day by students. But it also allows us to think about what might go on the site where Scott is. And so we really needed to free that building up before we could think about what might go right there in the center of the campus on what is really, if you think about it, one of the most important pieces of real estate in all of our campus.
Yes, definitely. And one thing I'm noticing as we're standing here looking out these big windows over here is that standing from here at the beginning of campus, you can see all the way down to Turner. Can you kind of speak to the importance of that access running through campus?
Yeah, so Westminster's always been organized around this kind of access that runs from Turner up through the quad and out this direction, and then from Presley all the way through Love Hall to Tull. And so we really thought that it was time for us to have an anchor that kind of was parallel to Turner, and that also provided kind of a sense of hospitality to the campus. We had a lot of people who visit Westminster. We have thousands of students who come here to apply for admission. We have teachers who come and visit. We have groups of alums who come a lot. And to have a way to greet them and a space that says this is our front door and this is where we help you find your way around was really important.
Yes, and then I think one misconception is that the Westminster Center is only kind of full of conference rooms and only for prospective admissions. Can you speak to how this will transform the Westminster students' experience?
Yeah, I think there are a number of different ways. I mean, one is that it will have classes here, and so there will be students that are scheduled into classes in this building. I think there will also be a lot of students who come in through the front door. Maybe they park at the deck or they get dropped off out front here and decide that this is going to be their first stop for the day. There will be soft seating, a lot of common spaces, a lot of spaces that students, I think, will either be able to find their friends or find something quiet if they want to study. And then a lot of conference rooms and other spaces like that are currently used a whole lot in Hawkins and Campbell, but there's going to be some more access to those kinds of things here. I think one of the things that students will really enjoy about this is that while it is student space and all of the spaces, will be accessible to students, they'll also see alums coming in and out. They'll also see other kinds of meetings happening here. And so we don't really have a building that's like that on campus. Our buildings tend to be academic or athletic and tend to be students and faculty, but this is really a crossroads for our whole community and a way for us to reach out to Atlanta too.
And then currently we're standing in what you said will become a chapel once the Westminster Center is done. How are we going to balance having this chapel and then having McCain, and kind of what will be the balance between those two?
Yeah, so this chapel will seat about 75 people. So this would not be the place you could gather the whole, student body. So this will be much more of a space for Bible studies, small prayer services, those kinds of things. It wouldn't surprise me if people choose to get married up here, like they do down in the Stone Chapel sometimes. And then it can also be, I think, reconfigured sometimes for those more dignified and solemn occasions that we want to have just a really lovely, beautiful space for. And then day to day, when nothing's happening in here and students are looking for a quiet place to be, the chapel will definitely be that space and gives you just a great view out across campus.
Well, thank you so much, Mr.
Absolutely.
Evans. I think this probably answered a lot of students' questions about what exactly will be going in the Westminster Center once it's completed. And I know that we're all so excited to have it finished.
Well, I think it's I think everyone's going to love it. It's space unlike any we have anywhere else on campus, and so I think we'll quickly occupy it and find out all it can do.